Welcome inside Studio S. Joining me as he always does for a little line movement madness. It's Tom Viola from Unabated. What's up, my friend?
Oh, how's it going, Dan? I am happy to be here with you on another fine, Wednesday. We've been pushing it to Wednesday
Yeah,
last couple weeks.
it is a Wednesday. There is a reason we did not do it yesterday, and that is because your boy here decided to make the pilgrimage to South Philadelphia to Citizens Bank Park to watch his favorite baseball team absolutely blow it against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And to help me commiserate is a friend of ours. His name is Matt Modi. He joins us
What is
now.
up? Nice surprise to Tommy.
Yeah.
How we doing, gentlemen?
I couldn't face the music alone, so I had to bring in our boy Matt to help me commiserate because I knew Tom was going to come at me today with an AK-47 of Phillies jokes. So I had to bring him in.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, you notice that I'm not in my normal background. I'm currently in my basement. This is where I come. It's the man cave, the dark cave. It's where I come to play video games. Past 24 hours or so, it's where I come to cry. So that's how I've been mourning. I've just been down here crying, staring at the walls that do not have any sports posters, just forgetting that sports exist. So that's how I've been mourning. Dan, how about you? A lot of bourbon?
Yeah, this morning my wife was like, "Dan, get up, the baby's crying." And I said, "That's not the baby. That's me."
It's like forgetting Sarah Marshall. We've been getting complaints about a woman crying. I think it's the one above me. You're on the top floor.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll
tell her to keep it down over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt. I was there. It was a funeral. It was disgusting. It was horrible. This was a team that was I had been saying this was the most likable and relatable Phillies team of my life. Maybe even Philadelphia sports team of my life. I'd never felt so connected to a team. And for them to go out like a bunch of punks was really hard to watch. It was really hard to be there. It was hard to do all of it. I woke up hungover mentally and physically because, as you mentioned, I did go home and have a bourbon or two. And it's just a terrible day. It's an awful day.
Yeah. I woke up with gastric issues because I drown my sorrows in ice cream. So to each their own.
I mean,
Matt is perennially a 12-year-old. Go ahead.
I don't think that you guys can compare to the level of suffering that I had to endure last night because thanks to the Phillies game, even going to 7 games, my original plans fell through because I was supposed to go see the Stanley Cup champion Las Vegas Golden Knights in their battle with the Philadelphia Flyers, the other team in Philly that is also garbage. And I was not able to go to that game because my friend that I was going to go with had to stay home and watch the Phillies lose in game 7 as well. So I was robbed of seeing the Golden Knights make a fantastic last minute comeback down 2-1 to win that game 3-2 in the last 30 seconds. So, I mean, who's really suffering here?
Well, I'll be honest. Nobody cares about hockey in Philadelphia.
Nobody cares about hockey. It's
And I've just been fired.
Very appropriately from Captain Jack. You know what? And shout out to Captain Jack. He texted me earlier and he said he was up until the wee hours of the morning trying to figure this one out. And I got home. I had a couple select bourbons and I said to myself, my kid's going to be up in like 4 hours. I should probably just bite the bullet and go to sleep. But I woke up immediately just upset. And my wife, who does not care about sports at all, was like, cool, get over it. You're taking her to daycare. So that's what I'm dealing with. So feel bad for me. I feel horrible today and I have no support at home. So I feel battered and bruised.
I definitely do understand your pain. In 2018, when the United States missed the World Cup with that loss to Trinidad and Tobago,
stop.
I went home, did not speak a word to my family, who was like, "Hey, how was the?" Just silent into the kitchen, glass bourbon all the way up, chugged it, went over to the couch, passed out, and didn't wake up for about 18 hours.
Well,
and when I did,
threw up.
No, did not. Kept it down. I was already too sick to my stomach from watching the team play. And then I proceeded not to answer my phone for the next week. I literally did not. People thought I was dead.
Matt, what flavor of ice cream is your go-to when you are emotionally eating?
Yeah, so my favorite is the Ben & Jerry's mint chocolate cookie pint. It's phenomenal. But I recently discovered this like little mom and pop shop creamery in Denver, which I gotta say is phenomenal. So they do like, you have to order the pint for pickup every Saturday. And they do different flavors every week. So, I mean, every Monday is Christmas morning, checking to see what the new flavors are. I just reload every Saturday. It really is a treat. It's really the only thing I have to look forward to at 31 years old. I mean, there's really nothing in life when you get into your 30s. It's just ice cream, and now it's select ice cream. It's very exciting stuff. And so I ate ice cream. I cuddled with my dogs. My girlfriend or fiance, whatever, roommate now, tried to tell me everything's going to be okay. I haven't quite believed that yet.
I would say I'm very concerned about your ice cream consumption, but now that I've met you and I know you're like 6'5" and you're a beanpole, that I'm not worried about it at all. I'm really not.
Nothing to look forward to after 31. I mean,
Matt,
it's
you're
true.
also fired.
I'm getting fired. Yeah. I was gonna say something. Oh, well, I was actually having this conversation with my cousin. I run a lot, so I can eat a lot of ice cream. That's really what it is. I don't do it to get in good shape. I don't do it to look good. I just want to eat ice cream. So I run a lot. I ran 4 miles yesterday, so I had the calories to burn.
That sounds a lot like my life philosophy. I hit a personal record today. I ran an 8-minute mile and finished with an 8:12 split on my mile and a half. I was happy.
Good for you. There you go. See,
that's great. Appreciate that. Everybody write that down. 8-minute mile. Congratulations, Tom.
Hey,
it's right.
something.
Matt, appreciate you hopping on. We're going to see Matt on Sundays come on the Witching Hour. So we'll see if Tom will be able to jump on, or anybody from Unabated, well, more than welcome to come on. Maybe Jack wants to make his first appearance on the Witching Hour. But Matt, we thank you, and we'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right. See you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Later,
right. Matt Modi joining us on the program, as Pat McAfee would say. And as I transition here to our actual set, I was going to say,
I was like, oh, we're keeping the black screen. And I thought that in the pre-show, I thought I'd seen a glimpse of someone else popping up on the studio. And I was like, that's weird, but I didn't even loved seeing Matt.
we love seeing Matt on the show. We've got the group text rolling, and it's for whatever reason always comes back to Matt's ice cream consumption. So it is
the hot topic of the chat. We would probably need to make an official group name of it.
I'm not a dairy guy, but I was so sad today. I got a chicken parm sandwich. And the guy was like, "You want a chicken parm and no cheese?" And I was like, "No, throw as much cheese on there as possible. I want to just be miserable all day." And he did, and I am. We have some breaking news right before the show. Changes in the 49ers and the Bengals. Brock Purdy in concussion protocol. So this is having some betting changes and some influence into the market. Now, this was Niners -5.5, Tom. There's been some jostling of late. This got down to Niners -3.5, which I know you just told me you got.
3.
It looks like on Sporttrade, yeah. We were at -3.5 at -120. Now it looks like our main line, which is posted, is Niners back to -5.5 at +111. So you're probably sitting in between those numbers somewhere.
Yeah, and the Niners now. Ooh, we got the best of the number, ladies and gentlemen, because the Niners have moved back to 3.5 just about everywhere. Very pleased with how I've played this market, despite the fact that my bet was absolutely based on trash. I simply have a completely unfounded, unscientific, and data correlated belief that Sam Darnold is not, in fact, a garbage quarterback. And I'm hoping that he shows that on Sunday.
It looks like 3.5s across the board, smattering of 3s. Caesars Sports Superbook is at 3 as well. And again, on Sporttrade, our main line here, -5.5. But of course, you can always bet every single point on the board there. So Brock Purdy worth 2 points. Your thoughts?
I mean, he didn't look like it 2 weeks ago. Last week, the Niners loss was definitely not on him, despite the fact that he did throw those 2 late picks. That loss was more of a team-wide fiasco. I don't know if he's worth 2 points. I
don't either.
That's a lot for a quarterback who is not elite, but I think it's more just a combination of everything going on with this team. But I don't know. I keep believing that the Niners are going to bounce back. This is just a rough patch for them, and I do believe it is. But I'm also inclined to believe that this is too much of a move simply due to the fact that how many bad quarterbacks have we seen look good in this system? Yeah. It's very clear that Shanahan has a great way of getting guys open, scheming quarterback-friendly schemes,
and protecting his guys, right?
At what point
protecting the deficiencies of his guys?
At what point was Brock Purdy not the straw stirring the drink, which is very clear he wasn't? And you can put Sam Darnold in, who preseason, I thought was going to win this job by week 4 just on his own merit. Brock Purdy did prove me wrong. I'll give him full credit there. He's looked great through most of the season so far, but I don't think this number should be this low.
Some slight shifting on the money line as well. Niners down to -194. Bengals up to +150. It was obviously much more slanted in the Niners' favor previously. Right before we came on, I actually saw DraftKings made a huge boner. They posted Niners +3.5, and I missed it by like 5 seconds.
Oh, that's an account closer right there.
I I know. But I saw it and it was sitting there, and I was like, I'm not going to do it. And it was still sitting there. And I was like, you know what? If it's going to be up this long, I'm going to go for it. And I just missed it.
Unless you're unloading the barrel. Like,
yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So the first game here on our regularly scheduled program here, the Jacksonville Jaguars, not Jaguars, as I'm constantly told.
Jaguars.
Jaguars. And the Pittsburgh Steelers opened up at -1.5 as I try to find it here. This always happens on the show. Opened up at -1.5, as Tom pointed out on his fantastic market moving thread that comes out on X. Moved all the way up to 3, as you mentioned, then has come back to 2.5 at some books on Sport Trade. Opened at 2.5, still at 2.5. The market has been fluctuating constantly, though. So I'll ask you, why is the market so shifty here?
That's the wrong question to be asking me, because quite frankly, I don't have an answer for you. It's just
sounds like a great question.
Yeah, it's just been shifty. I think that some of this could be, I guess, Trevor Lawrence injury related news. Some of it is people having disagreements on how good/bad the Steelers are.
Yeah,
that's certainly what it looks like the scenario is. But I think that part of it is also just the line went a bridge too far yesterday when it comes to getting to 3, because this number, like we said, open Jacksonville -1.5, was bet up to 2, then bet up to 2.5, and then it did touch to 3. It was 3 -110, then -105, -104, and then they brought it back down to 2.5, where it stays now with varying degrees of juice. Like it's pivoting on not quite wanting to go up to 3 again. So I think that we've just found the right point for this market, and it's just that point is the 2.5 number.
Steelers, #1 team in terms of positive ROI this year on the money line, 30% to the positive. Other than that, week 1 trouncing by San Fran, they've really exceeded the market's expectations almost every single week. They sit here at 4-2 in second place in the AFC North. Yeah, as you look up and down the spreads, -2.5 is our as close to our 50-50 line as possible here for Jags, -115 for the Steelers, +2.5. You're in the plus.
Yeah.
Plus 102 there, $49 per share. Do you have a lean at all? I mean, you mentioned the Trevor Lawrence injury, much more of a concern last week. I was actually shocked at how efficient he was moving laterally, moving in the pocket too. It didn't seem to really have any ill effects whatsoever. I mean, maybe he was on some vitamin T. Who knows? Seems to be a thing in the NFL.
I mean, I bought Saints -1 on the theory that he wasn't going to play, and then he came out and made me look foolish. But that's easy to do. I do it all the time. But I mean, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars coming off short rest here, or my bad, they've got long rest here. They got the mini bye coming off that Thursday night game. But the Steelers they're such a difficult team to figure out this season, because they shouldn't be this good, but they've been playing really well, and they're 4-2 for a reason. No one thinks that they should be 4-2, but Mike Tomlin's just always able to get the most out of this team, and it's really impressive. I want no part in this game.
It's interesting, right? Because they are exceeding expectations. So are they good or are they lucky? And that's something as a trader, not necessarily a pre-flop bettor, but as a trader, I think you really have to look at and say, if the market is continually undervaluing this team, where are the opportunities for me to get in and get out on them to be profitable? Now, timing the market obviously is really difficult, right? Like anybody who's invested in the stock market can tell you that, and sports is no different. But they are, to me, the most interesting team on a week-by-week basis by looking at matchups, because it just seems like third quarter, they're always going to be in the football game unless they're playing one of the elite teams. And there are going to be opportunities there to make some live trades. I just find them to be a very intriguing team as the season wears on.
Yeah.
Any other last thoughts there?
I mean, I'm waiting for the Massey Peabody rankings to get updated for this week, and then maybe I'll take a look into this market. But yeah, for the most part, for me, this one is just a pass. Sit it out.
Flirting with some key numbers, as we mentioned. Just talked about how a bridge too far was Jaguars -3 earlier, but we got an interesting one with the Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles 6.5 currently, but some sharp books like Bookmaker have this at 7. It's a pretty big matzo ball hanging out there, Tommy. Currently 6.5 at -111 on Sport Trade. I wrote that a couple hours ago. It's now -113. So 2 cents difference there. We have taken a substantial bets here on the Commanders money line, though, at $29 per share, which is roughly plus 245. That's gone up a little bit now. Plus 240 is the money line there. It's Wednesday, Tom. Do you think this crosses 7? And if so, does it stay? And what could be the precursor to getting above that number?
I think that the best you're going to do, if it was going to cross 7, I feel like it would have crossed 7 on the whole Jalen Hurts is fine and it's going to be a full go news. Yeah. Him having any sort of injury designation tells me this number doesn't get to 7, because this is probably the ceiling that we're going to have on the Eagles for this particular game. And that makes me kind of like it. The Commanders aren't a very good team, but how good are the Eagles this year? Can they really cover a touchdown in this divisional game on the road? I'm playing into some narratives here, but at the end of the day, I just don't. I don't see an edge, and as unfun as it is, I still want to stay away from this one.
Zero signs to it whatsoever. I'm not a trends guy, but I will tell you, this is my team. Washington, for whatever reason, has played them extremely tough, and 3 of the last 4, I think, have been within this 6.5. I mean, they just beat them in overtime. 34-31 earlier this year. The Commanders, of course, famously went into Philadelphia last year and were the first team to beat the Eagles on their home turf. And in general, that was a 32-21 game. And other than a 24-8 final, 2022, Washington only lost by 4. I mean, they just continuously play this team tough. I think 6.5 is probably as far as it's going to go. As I mentioned, only a handful of sharper books have this at 7, but basically any of the widely available books, including Sport Trade, are sitting at 6.5 right here. So I think you're probably right. You're not getting much more value than that. Is this something that you're considering? It sounded like you were, if it's going to stay under a touchdown for the Birds, something you might consider.
No.
What about it? Would you be interested in teasing it?
Teaser. I mean, I would love for this game to get to 7, because teasing 6.5 to 0, you're not getting a ton of value there. Yeah. I do like the Birds to win the game. I might have it as like something that I sprinkle into some of my more plus EV teasers to try and beat a couple books. But yeah, that's probably the closest that I'm going to come to this one.
The next one, close, near and dear to Tom Viola's heart. It is, of course, the battle for New York. As I try to flip this thing over. Yeah. How low can it go, though? That's the interesting question. We've got the Jets. We've got the Giants, underwhelming. Well, the Jets are 3-3. I guess I shouldn't say that. But this features one of the lowest totals we've ever posted. And we're going to go even lower after we're done talking about this game. Jets, Giants, 36.5 right now on Sport Trade and most other shops. And I'll tell you, Tom, 100% of our total tickets right now are on the over. And it's not a small sample size. In fact, let me just refresh it real quick and double check and make sure that's still the case. But your feelings on this as a bettor and a Jets fan?
Yeah, I see this as an over game here. I mean, part of it is, as a Jets fan, this offense is starting to figure it out. Every week, we've gone.
Seems that way.
We've gone from we've gone from we need to stop going 3 and out every drive to we need to stop turning the ball over to we need to convert in the red zone. That's progress. That right there, progress. Team's also coming off the bye. At this point, Zach Wilson has adjusted to being the starter again. Nathaniel Hackett's been calling a really good play calling. He's been calling good games for the last several weeks now, since that Chiefs game where Wilson really started to look like something resembling an NFL quarterback. He is finally making some of that progress. I'm not saying he's ever going to be elite or top 10, but he is no longer looking like he's completely lost out there and has no business being on the field. He's looking the part, and the offense is finally moving the football. This Giants defense is also not particularly great. And the Jets defense, while very good, and they've been very, very stingy when it comes to the points, they've been creating some turnovers too. And turnovers are good for the over. I see this game being one of those that kind of bucks the trend a little bit, and we see these two teams airing it out a little bit more. Quite frankly, watch the Daniel Jones injury news, because if Tyrod Taylor plays, I think this Giants offense is in a better position.
I was just going to say that a neck injury for Daniel Jones, didn't play last week, and they only scored 14 points against the Commanders with Tyrod Taylor, but they did look a lot more live, in my opinion. So I don't know how well you can see this. And if Captain Jack is watching, I'm actually curious for what he thinks about this as well. Kind of looking at the list here, starting at over 34.5, going up to 38.5. Is there anything that jumps out at you other than the main line as an alt line that you think could be interesting? And I'm putting you on the spot a little bit.
Let me see here. Let me pull up some alt lines and see.
Well, while you do that, I mean, I'll tell you, just kind of going around the entire board, Jets and Giants, 36.5, basically the consensus total, other than a couple spots. You're seeing a lot of 36.5 at -110, -115, -112. Looks like Sport Trade, if you're interested in the under 36.5, is even money, which is just bonkers. I mean, that's a bonkers low score. Pretty wild.
It is pretty wild, but I tell you, there's one alt line that's showing a little bit of an edge here.
Okay.
That is Giants -6.5 at plus 355.
Right. Let's pull it up here. Yeah. Giants -6.5. I will tell you, actually, interesting you bring this up. I will refresh this just to see it. We'll go and look at all the point spreads. So right now, -6.5, plus 347.
We have it at plus 355, so it's probably a little bit different.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
and that's just the fact of the matter that sometimes the unabated screen takes a little bit longer to refresh the Sport Trade line.
But I will tell you, I think some of our users have been using unabated for that, because we have taken a significant amount of action on the Giants alt lines, which are including Giants -6.5, -7.5, -5.5.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And part of it is also just the fact, part of it to watch out for is when you start getting to the fringes on some of these lines, that's when these edges start to deteriorate. Like, modeling breaks down towards the edges. And when that happens, it can sometimes inflate your edge. But I think if it's showing I think there is an edge here at the 6.5 number.
Before we switch gears real quick, a quick comment from Howdy. Dan, looking forward to utilizing Sport Trading Colorado when the Android app becomes available. Any update when that might come? I can tell you, Howdy, we're working on it. We're doing the best we can. Smaller team here, but we're trying to get it up and running for you. Reach out to me. We'll talk about volume. If you are planning on moving some volume, we can send you an iPad. And then that way you have access to iOS. We've done it for a lot of customers. Definitely customers who want to prioritize the best pricing and using the app, and we're happy to do that for you. So reach out to me, dcoob@getsporttrade.com, and let's chat, buddy. But thanks for reaching out. Let's see our next game here. Well, we're going to keep actually on the totals, because we have an even lower total between the Tennessee Titans and the Atlanta Falcons. The Titans, I'm curious for your thoughts on this, and this has nothing to do with betting. The Titans basically manifest destinying, imperializing the Houston Texans throwback, or the Houston Oilers throwbacks. I think it's an absolute criminal act. It's a miscarriage of justice, and I think it's disgusting. Your thoughts?
I mean, it is pretty funny. Like, you don't see the Ravens putting on Colts uniforms for a throwback.
Exactly. Yeah. Now that's a perfect analogy.
Yeah. I feel like if anyone was going to have throwback uniforms here, it should be the Texans, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think CJ Stroud actually made that exact point today.
Yeah, that's what makes sense to me. Like the Jet, you don't see the Titans wearing throwback uniforms, wearing the Jets gold and blue throwback uniforms for when they were the Titans. Although they might, knowing how they're operating, they might be co-opting those next year.
That's true. You never know.
Those were some phenomenal throwbacks, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, they're beautiful. So beautiful. I mean, it's Kelly Green, and then it's those, obviously. You don't like them?
I didn't love the Kelly Green.
Yeah, because you're a hater. That's all. You're just a hater. Like, if I were a Philly sports fan, you would be like, I loved him. I really do. But you're a hater.
I mean, Kelly Green is our color, but the other thing there is just, I like the 2000, like the Donovan McNabb era, that dark green that you guys had.
Yeah.
I really love those I really love that. Yeah, the Ravens throwing
Yeah.
wearing Browns throwbacks would be another
That's
one.
the example I was thinking of, Jack, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's hilarious. I would love for the Ravens to host the Browns and wear like the Jim Brown era Browns uniforms. That would be hilarious.
That would be
and the fact that they've won multiple Super Bowls already and the Browns have barely made the playoffs ever since. Just another dagger for the Browns fans. Anyway, so Titans, Falcons, we're looking at a hilarious total here. 35.5. Obviously, the factors there are coming because Ryan Tannehill announced today he's not going to play. Second round pick Will Levis will apparently split some snaps with last year's fourth round pick Malik Willis, or third round pick.
What
rather,
are the Titans? What are the Titans doing?
I think they're just trying. They're trying to lose. I mean, what are their options? Like they don't have talent. Their 40-year-old quarterback is always injured and turnover prone. Like they're bottoming out.
But what are they even doing? I'm talking like the long term. You draft Malik Willis in the 4th round. Okay, like yeah, that's a project pick. You say it doesn't work out, but then you keep him around, and then you draft a new project quarterback in the 2nd round last year, and there still was very clearly no plan of succession for Ryan Tannehill. And it's just, you have these two backups here. They were even talking about a quarterback by committee this week with both Levis and Willis playing. None of this makes any sense. They're probably going to get rid of Derrick Henry at some point, who's being outsnapped by Tajay Spears now. And
are they going to trade him though? Like I see that all the time. I'm just not convinced they're going to trade him. I'm just not.
They should.
And they should. But I'm not convinced of it.
They'll probably trade him to the Eagles for like a 10th round pick.
I hope not. I think, the Willis thing is interesting. I think he dropped so far.
Yeah.
Right. Like all the prognosticators were like, first round pick, right? First round pick. He dropped so far that by the time they got to him, they said, okay, look, this is a value pick at this point. Yeah. Guy could have gone in the 1st round, in the 3rd. They probably got him into camp and said, wow, this guy just can't play. Played at Liberty. No offense, Liberty. Played at Liberty. Probably got him into the camp, got him into the building and said, just not our guy. Doesn't have it. Yeah. Right. That's probably explains the Levis pick. And then Levis, the same thing. Levis drops to the 2nd round. And then they say, okay, a lot of value here. Let's pick him up.
Yeah, but it's a 2nd round pick. Like that's not nearly as much value. Sure. And again, bad quarterback class.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
But then on the flip side of this game, you got Desmond Ridder, who's not even mid at this point. He's just bad. You need to get him out of there.
My guy. He take it easy on my guy.
No,
he's bad. He's done a little better.
Bad.
With this total, Tom, opened at 37.5 and it has cratered. It's now down to 35.5. And again, I'm looking at it right now. We've taken significant action on this total, and I will tell you yet again, unless I am mistaken, I believe 100% of the action is indeed on the over again for this game.
Of course it's going to be. You can't bet the under in this game.
Well, that's what I'm curious. Like Jack, I know has a saying about, or at least an adage about, how low can a total go, and what's sort of the breaking point between you have to bet the over or you just walk away completely. But this number probably because of the under sensation that's been going on this year. Touchdowns are way down. Unders, I've got them at 64 and 41 this year.
Yeah.
So far. So it feels like the market is trying to figure out exactly what is going on the field in terms of the totals.
I think part of it is the amount of young QBs that we have in the league right now. Like we have young QBs and we have injured QBs, and it is driving an offensive recession.
It very well could. It's I don't think I have the answers. I'm not Ben Solak. I'm sure he'll write a 5,000 word piece about exactly what's going on, and I'll read every second of it. Shout out to Ben Solak, who I don't know personally. Okay.
I actually do know him. Well, I wouldn't say personally, but I've had him on a show before. Very good guy.
Oh, nice. Okay, there you go. Jack, checking in. Atlanta, Tennessee is a game where I look for a tail event, something with bigger plus odds. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Well, let's take a quick look, Jack, and maybe you can fill us in on what you're thinking here. So, so some different totals here. We can open this up, take a look. So over 37.5, you're already in the plus territory. Over 38.5, plus 130. Over 39.5, you're looking at plus 141, and 40.5 is plus 163. I'm sure if you were to go use the alt calculator at Unabated, you'll be able to find some pretty decent edges there, I would think. But this game screams to me big opportunity to live trade this, right? Like you would watch for first couple series to kind of figure out which way it's going. They go look under 33.5, over 40.5. So over 40.5 at plus 163, as I mentioned. And then let's take a look at what that under shows. Minus or under 33.5 plus 133. So there you go. Jack, checking in. Much appreciated as always. I hope your day of mourning is going better than mine.
I'm eyeing a different game right now because the under 43 in Green Bay versus Minnesota is
We're getting there. We're getting there. Don't you worry. But before we do that, obviously on Sport Trade, there's no teasing that goes on the site. But you know what? Just because we work here doesn't mean we don't always bet here, because I can't. So, Tom, you've got a little bit of a teaser action for us.
Yeah, we got plenty of good teaser options this week that are looking pretty dang good for us here. Starting off, heading to the spread markets here. There's a lot of 8.5s around the board right now, which are my personal favorite to tease down because, you know, you're getting a favorite who's expected to win the game anyway at a number less than a field goal. And it did not work last week. We had a very bad week last week, but you've got a trio of games, and they're actually all the late games here. You've got the Ravens Cardinals game currently listed at 8.5 at Circa. Then you've got Bears Chargers, also 8.5. And then you've got Raiders Lions, the Monday night game as well, 8.5. You get a chance to tease two home teams down to 2.5 in these spots. And they're playing against the Raiders and the Chargers, two teams that are terrible and will likely be playing with backup quarterbacks in these games. And then you also have the Ravens Cardinals game and what could be the last Josh Dobbs game of the season, depending on when we see Kyler Murray again.
It could be. Yeah, I don't know about. I know they opened the practice window for Murray yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, we have Detroit. We're a point off from Circa there. We have Detroit at minus 7.5 there, minus 122. So there you go. So that teaser again: Ravens minus 8, Chargers minus 8. Was it 8.5 or 8?
8.5. All three of these games are at 8.5. And then in addition to that, you got the Chiefs minus 7 versus the Broncos. You're not getting as much value there, but let me pull up the unabated teaser tool here for a minute, and let's see if we can't find some value on these spots as a four-legger here.
Sure.
Because
good.
Because just pulling up all of those together, it's giving me it's giving me a whopping edge on that one. If you can get it at a 6.4 leg teaser at 3-1. Unabated says a 27.71% edge on those four games. That's a whopper.
Wow. Do you want to put that one in the chat? We've got a couple people watching.
Yeah, I can.
You don't have to. If that's proprietary, you don't have to.
Yeah, I can. I can actually do that right now. But the thing is, you really want to wait on some of these because of the fact that you want to wait for these markets to get efficient as possible when you're playing your teasers. You want these lines like. The best time to play teasers is Sunday morning. I'm eyeing these right now. If they move off these numbers, it becomes something that you don't quite want to play as much. But if you can find a teaser of that value on Sunday morning, go get it, because that's when the lines are most efficient. And all you're doing with teasers is using market efficiency against itself.
It's a great point. Last one here, and we're just calling it one for the road before we finish up. And that is kind of an interesting game as the market has shaped up and become as efficient as possible. And that is Vikings and Green Bay. This is a pick 'em right now, thanks to the unabated line, or according to the unabated line, and several other shops. And the movement here is kind of interesting. Most other places had the Vikings at a 1-point favorite. On Sport Trade, we had the Vikings at minus 2.5. And that's flipped because Green Bay was actually favored minus 2.5 yesterday. So this is all over the place. And now a lot of shops are kind of throwing their hands up and saying, you figure it out, which to me is interesting because I think if you've watched these two teams in the last couple of weeks, the Packers have looked terrible and the Vikings have not looked terrible. And I can't help but think that maybe because I don't know how this market comes to be. The Vikings beat the Niners last week. The Packers lose to the Denver Broncos last week, and yet this thing is settling right in the middle. Somebody explain it to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of it, the line movement and what we've been seeing about this game going back and forth, flipping favorites, the movement between the 2.5s of Vikings minus 2.5 and Packers minus 2.5, you're going to see a lot more of that than you will either side going to 3.
Right.
it's the win percentage there. The odds between those two aren't as big of a deal as that 2.5 to 3% to 3-point change would be. So that's why you're seeing a lot more movement, and you'll always see more. Well, maybe not always, but you'll see more movement generally around the more dead numbers of in the 0 to 2.5 range, the 4.5 to 5.5 range, things like that. But with this game, yeah, I don't get it either. I don't get why the Vikings are just now -1 or a pick 'em here. Back out one more week. They were pretty inept versus a bottom 5 Bears. I do agree with that. I'm staying away from this team. I'm afraid of this Vikings team. You've also got them on short rest here, and that's probably a factor in this line. I did just while we were doing this show, though, take some under 43 action on this game, but I think that number is now gone. I apologize to anyone who would want to tail that.
Let's check it. Yeah, I've got it under 42.5 here at Sport Trade and elsewhere. So thanks for nothing, Tom. Much appreciated.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Howdy. I agree with you. And thanks for watching the show and for staying engaged and commenting and hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, two teams that you can't trust, right? This is just like when Tom and I were talking about that Vikings Chargers game, like two teams I do not want to be involved in at all. Like I want no parts of them in my portfolio. I watch the Packers every week. If you're new, I lived there. I covered the team for a lot of years. So I still watch them. They're just dog shit. They're just bad in a lot of different ways. And it's not their fault. They have like 4 guys on offense who aren't on rookie contracts. Their entire skill position group is in either their first year or their second year. Their quarterback has played 7 games. Their running back is injured all the time. Their second running back, A.J. Dillon, is terrible. They just don't have anything going for them offensively. And the coach isn't scheming up anything to help his guys out. It's just a mess right now. So I'm not betting it. Again, like the Vikings are on my never bet list, and I'm staying away. But I'm saying if I were to, and I'm getting a pick 'em, I would have to go with the Vikings. But that's again not playing it.
You want one more for the road here, Dan?
Yeah, let's do it. That's what the segment's called.
Patriots Dolphins.
Interesting, right? Yeah.
This game's very weird because this game opened Patriots 10 or Dolphins 10.5.
Yeah.
And it has just been steadily bet down across 10, which is already surprising enough. Then gets to 9.5, kept going. It's down to 9.
Yeah.
DraftKings still has a 9.5. You guys still have it at 9.5.
9.5 minus 102, by the way.
Yeah, which is the best number in the market right now if you like the Dolphins, by the way.
Yeah.
But
that's got to be a familiarity thing too, right?
Yeah. Familiarity thing. The fact that look what the Patriots did to the Bills just a week ago here. I'm curious what's going to happen in this game, but I am very hesitant to bet it or put the Dolphins in too many of my teasers, especially even if it gets to 8.5, because of the fact that the market is really liking the Patriots here so far.
Yeah. All right, Tom, that'll wrap things up for us. Thank you again. As always, we usually do this on a Tuesday, but of course, if you joined us late, we did it on a Wednesday because I was at a baseball game last night that didn't go very well. Tom,
I think Wednesday might be the better day for the show, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think we did our first one on Wednesday, then we were like, maybe Tuesday, and now I think we should just go back to Wednesdays.
Yeah, I moved my market tweets to Tuesday because there's more movement to talk about by then. But then when we get to this point, we're starting to get some injury news. Markets are starting to settle, but we've still got movement going on. The board's been lighting up this whole time.
Yeah.
I'm liking the Wednesday slot.
We'll make it so. If you are watching us for the first time, Thursday Night Football with the Whale Capper, Drew Dinsick, he and I hang out. We make live trades. We talk live trading strategy in real time, and then we make the bets. So we're talking about it, how the market matures up till kickoff, through kickoff in the first quarter. Make sure you check it out. Drew's a great guy. We had a great conversation about barefoot wine 2 weeks ago. He was floored that Putty from Seinfeld is now shilling barefoot wine. Couldn't believe it. One of the funnier conversations we've had on the show. Check it out tomorrow. Then, of course, the Witching Hour on Sundays from 3:15 Eastern to whenever the first slate closes. So Tom is a guest on that show all the time. It's a fun program. So everybody, thanks for hanging out. Tom, thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you tomorrow for Thursday Night Football with the Whale Capper.
Catch you later.